The great ship Eternal Glory moved through space like a metal mountain. Its dark hull stretched for miles, covered in weapons that could destroy planets. Inside the ship's command center, Admiral Vextar stood looking at a wall of glowing screens. Each screen showed different worlds that belonged to the Zephyrian Empire. 47 star systems, 47 conquered worlds. All of them now served the Empire. The Admiral was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to glow in the dim light. His forearms moved quickly as he checked reports from across the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire had been growing for 3,000 years. They were the strongest force in this part of space. "Admiral," said Commander Krelnox, walking up to him, "we have new information about the target world." Vextar turned to look at the younger officer. "Show me." The main screen changed to show a small blue and green planet. It looked peaceful, with white clouds swirling around it. The planet was the third one from its star, in a system the locals called Sol. "This is Earth," Krelnox said. "Our scouts have been watching it for 6 months. The species there calls themselves humans." Vextar studied the planet. It looked like many other worlds they had conquered. "What is their technology level?" "Very low, Admiral. They still use chemical rockets to leave their planet. Most of their people have never been to space. Their fastest ships take months to reach their own moon." The Admiral smiled. "This would be easy." "What about their weapons?" "Primitive. They still use explosive devices and metal projectiles. No energy shields, no plasma cannons. They do not even have one government for their whole planet. They are divided into many small groups that fight each other." Other officers gathered around to look at the screens. They showed images of human cities, human vehicles, and human spacecraft. Everything looked simple and basic compared to Zephyrian technology. "Look at this," Krelnox said, pointing to an image of a human rocket. "This is their most advanced spacecraft. It burns chemical fuel and can barely reach their moon. Our scout ships are 1,000 times faster." The officers laughed. They had seen this many times before. A primitive species that had just learned to leave their home planet. These conquests were always the easiest. "What about their population?" Vextar asked. "About 8 billion humans live on the planet. They have spread to every continent. But Admiral, they have no space-based defenses, no orbital weapons platforms, no shield generators protecting their world. When we arrive, they will have no way to fight back." Vextar nodded slowly. This was perfect. The Empire needed new worlds to supply their growing fleet. Earth had good water, breathable air, and useful metals. The humans could work in the mines after they surrendered. "How long until we reach their system?" he asked. 12 days, Admiral. The third conquest fleet is ready. 200 dreadnought ships, each one capable of destroying their largest cities. We also have landing craft for the ground forces and construction ships to build the new orbital stations. The Admiral walked to the center of the command room. Around him, hundreds of Zephyrian officers worked at their stations. This ship alone carried enough firepower to conquer most worlds, and they had 200 ships just like it. "Send word to all ship commanders," Vextar ordered. "We will use standard conquest protocol. Jump into their system in battle formation. Show them our strength. Give them one chance to surrender. When they do, we begin the occupation." "Yes, Admiral. Should we prepare the surrender broadcast?" "Of course. Make it simple so they can understand. Tell them that resistance is useless. If they surrender immediately, we will allow their leaders to live as servants to the Empire." The officers began their work. They had done this 47 times before. Every conquest followed the same pattern. The primitive species would see the Imperial fleet and immediately give up. Some tried to fight at first, but their simple weapons could not even scratch Zephyrian shields. Vextar looked at the image of Earth again. The humans had no idea what was coming. Their planet looked so peaceful and quiet. In 2 weeks it would belong to the Empire. "Admiral," said a communications officer, "we are receiving the final scout reports from the Sol system." "What do they say?" "The humans are still completely unaware of our approach. They continue their normal activities. Some of their spacecraft are moving between their planet and moon. But these are just supply missions. No military preparations have been detected. Perfect. The humans were not even ready to fight. This would be the shortest conquest in Imperial history." "Sir," another officer called out, "should we prepare the broadcast in their languages? Our language computers have studied their communications." "Yes. Make sure they understand exactly what is happening. I want them to know that the Zephyrian Empire has arrived and that their only choice is complete surrender." The Admiral looked around the command center. Every officer knew their job. The conquest of Earth would begin soon and it would end quickly. The humans had no space navy, no orbital defenses, and no advanced weapons. They were completely helpless. Commander Krelnox, Vextar said, "What is the longest any conquest has taken?" 14 hours, Admiral. That was the Valdorian system. They had energy shields around their cities, but our plasma bombardment broke through quickly. And these humans have no shields at all? None, sir. Our scouts confirm that they have no defensive technology beyond simple explosive devices. Vextar smiled again. 14 hours seemed like a long time now. The humans would probably surrender in 14 minutes once they saw the Imperial fleet. "Prepare all ships for system entry," he commanded. "I want perfect formation. Let the humans see exactly how powerful the Zephyrian Empire is." The great ship hummed with activity. In the weapons bays, technicians checked the plasma cannons and energy torpedoes. In the hangar decks, pilots prepared their fighter craft. In the troop compartments, soldiers cleaned their armor and weapons. But none of this would be needed. The conquest of Earth would be simple. The humans would take one look at 200 Imperial dreadnoughts and immediately surrender. Then the real work could begin, turning their planet into another Imperial colony. "Admiral," the navigation officer reported, "we will reach the edge of their star system in exactly 12 days. 6 hours and 33 minutes. Excellent. Make sure all ship commanders are ready. I want this conquest to be perfect. The Empire is watching." Vextar walked to the large window at the front of the command center. Through the thick glass, he could see the other ships of the Third Conquest Fleet. Each one was a masterpiece of Imperial engineering. Each one carried enough weapons to destroy a moon. The humans had no idea what was coming for them. They continued their simple lives on their small blue planet, thinking they were safe. They would learn very soon that nowhere in the galaxy was safe from the Zephyrian Empire. The Admiral was already planning the victory ceremony. The Empire would be very pleased with such a quick and easy conquest. Maybe they would give him command of the Fourth Conquest Fleet. There were always more worlds to conquer. In 12 days, the humans would learn that they were no longer alone in the universe, and they would learn that their new masters did not ask for surrender, they demanded it. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the deep underground bunker, 3 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains. The walls around her were made of steel and concrete, thick enough to survive a direct nuclear hit. Dozens of computer screens filled the room with blue light, showing data from around the world. "Contact confirmed," said Major Williams, walking up to her desk. "The alien fleet will reach our solar system in 12 days. Sarah nodded but did not look surprised. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for 30 years, ever since they first detected alien radio signals from distant stars. The signals had stopped coming 20 years ago, but Sarah knew what that meant. The aliens were getting closer. "How many ships?" she asked. "Our deep space telescopes count 200 large vessels. Each one is about 3 miles long. They're definitely warships." Sarah pulled up a 3-dimensional image of the alien fleet on her main screen. The ships were arranged in perfect formation, like a military parade. They looked powerful and dangerous, but Sarah was not afraid. Humanity had been getting ready for this day. "Have you briefed the President?" "Yes, ma'am. All world leaders have been informed. The Global Defense Council is meeting in 1 hour." Sarah looked around the command center. This room was the heart of Earth's real defense system. The aliens thought humans were primitive because they saw chemical rockets and simple satellites. They had no idea what humanity had really been building for the past 3 decades. The truth was that humanity's technology had developed very differently from other species in the galaxy. While aliens built energy shields and plasma weapons, humans had perfected something much more dangerous: the science of making things move very, very fast. "Show me the current status of all defense systems," Sarah ordered. The screens around the room changed to show a map of Earth. Thousands of red dots appeared on every continent and in every ocean. Each dot represented a weapon system that the aliens could not see from space. "Kinetic defense platforms are online," reported Lieutenant Torres from her station. "We have 1,500 railgun installations hidden in mountains, underground bunkers, and ocean trenches. Each one can fire tungsten rods at 10% the speed of light." "Missile systems?" "Already, ma'am. We have over 30,000 nuclear missiles in submarines, underground silos, and mobile launchers. The submarines are spread across every ocean, invisible to alien sensors. What about the lunar installations? Fully operational. The moon base has been disguised to look like a mining facility, but it's actually our most powerful weapon. The mass driver can throw asteroids at the alien fleet using the moon's gravity to increase their speed. Sarah smiled grimly. The aliens thought they were approaching a helpless planet. They were actually flying into the most dangerous trap humanity had ever built. The door to the command center opened, and General Rodriguez walked in. He was the head of all Earth's military forces, and he looked calm, despite the approaching threat. "Dr. Chen," he said, "I've just spoken with the other defense centers. Asia, Europe, Africa, Australia, everyone is ready. The aliens won't know what hit them." "What about the decoy systems?" "Still working perfectly. Our fake satellites and space stations are broadcasting exactly what the aliens expect to see. They think our most advanced technology is those chemical rockets they've been watching." Sarah had planned this deception carefully. For 30 years, humanity had built two different space programs. One was visible and looked primitive. The other was hidden and contained weapons that could destroy planets. "Ma'am," called out Sergeant Kim from the communication station, "we're receiving reports from deep space monitoring stations. The alien fleet has begun its final approach. They're not even trying to hide." "Of course not," Sarah said. "They think we're helpless. They're probably planning to just show up and demand our surrender." "Will we try to negotiate?" asked Major Williams. Sarah turned to look at him. Her face was serious and cold. "Major, these aliens have conquered 47 other worlds. Our intelligence suggests they turn every species they conquer into slaves. They kill anyone who resists and use the survivors as workers in their mines and factories. So we fight? We don't just fight. We send a message to every alien species in the galaxy. We show them that attacking Earth is the last mistake they will ever make." The room fell quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. Humanity was about to reveal weapons that no other species had ever imagined. The aliens expected energy beams and plasma cannons. Instead, they would face something much worse. Human engineering, turned toward the single goal of destroying enemies. "Dr. Chen," said Lieutenant Torres, "the mass driver on the moon is locked onto the alien fleet's approach vector. We can begin targeting as soon as they enter the outer solar system." "Excellent. What about the relativistic kill vehicles?" "All 12 RKVs are ready for launch. Once they reach 90% light speed, nothing in the galaxy can stop them." Sarah had been working on the relativistic kill vehicle project for 15 years. They were simple in concept. Small spacecraft accelerated to nearly the speed of light using fusion rockets. When they hit a target, the energy release was equal to 1,000 nuclear bombs. The best part was that they were impossible to defend against. No shield could stop something moving that fast. "Ma'am," Sergeant Kim called out again, "we're getting new data from the telescopes. The alien ships are maintaining their formation, heading straight for Earth. No course changes, no evasive maneuvers." "They're completely confident," General Rodriguez observed. "They think this will be easy." "Let them think that," Sarah replied. "The longer they believe we're helpless, the closer they'll come before we spring the trap." The screens around the room showed activity all over Earth. In hidden bunkers, soldiers loaded tungsten rods into railguns. In nuclear submarines, crews prepared missile launches. In secret facilities, scientists made final checks on weapons that had never been tested in real combat. "Dr. Chen," said Major Williams, "what if they try to surrender once they see what we can do?" Sarah's expression did not change. "Major, they've destroyed 47 civilizations. Billions of people are dead because of these aliens. They don't get to surrender." "Ma'am, are you sure about the asteroid plan? Using the moon's gravity to throw rocks at them seems..." "Seems what, Major? Primitive?" Sarah smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "That's exactly what they'll think. Right up until a 1,000,000-ton asteroid hits their flagship at 50,000 miles per hour. The command center continued its work. Every few minutes, new reports came in from around the world. All systems were ready. All weapons were loaded. All personnel were in position. "How long until they reach the outer solar system?" Sarah asked. 11 days, 18 hours, replied Lieutenant Torres. "Good. That gives us time for final preparations. I want every system tested twice. When we spring this trap, it has to work perfectly the first time. Dr. Chen, said General Rodriguez, the President wants to know if we should try sending a warning message to the aliens. Give them a chance to turn around. Sarah shook her head. General, these aliens have been conquering worlds for 3,000 years. They won't turn around because a primitive species asks them nicely. The only language they understand is force. And we have plenty of that. More than they can imagine, Sarah agreed. They think humans are weak because we fight each other. They don't understand that fighting each other taught us how to build better weapons. Every war, every conflict, every battle in human history has prepared us for this moment. The alien fleet continued toward Earth, confident and unaware. In 12 days, they would learn that humanity had spent 30 years preparing for their arrival. They would discover that the primitive rockets they had observed were just a disguise hiding weapons that could destroy stars. Most importantly, they would learn that when humans said never again, they meant it. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of the Eternal Glory as his fleet entered the Sol system. 200 massive warships moved in perfect formation, their weapons charged and ready. The third planet from the star grew larger on the main screen, a blue and green world that would soon belong to the Zephyrian Empire. All ships report ready, Admiral, said Commander Krellnox. We are in standard intimidation formation. Vextar nodded with satisfaction. The formation was designed to show overwhelming power. Any species that saw 200 dreadnoughts arranged in battle order would immediately understand that resistance was useless. Begin. The surrender broadcast, he ordered. The communications officer activated the transmission system. The message would be sent in all major human languages, translated by their most advanced computers. It was the same message they had used 47 times before. Attention, inhabitants of the third planet. The broadcast began. This is Admiral Vextar of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy. Your world is now surrounded by the Third Conquest Fleet. You have no weapons that can harm our ships. You have no defenses that can protect your cities. Surrender immediately, and your species will be allowed to serve the Empire. Resist and your civilization will be destroyed. The Admiral paused, then continued with the standard terms. You have 30 minutes to respond with complete surrender. All military forces must stand down. All government leaders must prepare for transfer to Imperial custody. Any attempt to resist will result in the immediate destruction of your largest population centers. The message was sent on all frequencies that humans used for communication. Now they would wait for the inevitable response, a terrified surrender from primitive beings who had never seen real military power. Admiral, reported the sensor officer, we are detecting some unusual energy readings from the planet's surface. What kind of readings? I'm not sure, sir. There are massive power signatures appearing all over the planet, much larger than we expected from such a primitive species. Vextar frowned. Show me. The main screen changed to display energy readings from Earth. Thousands of red dots appeared across all the continents and oceans. Each dot represented a power source much stronger than anything their scouts had reported. This must be some kind of mistake, said Commander Krellnox. Our intelligence reports showed that humans barely have nuclear power technology. Run a full sensor sweep, Vextar ordered. I want to know what we're looking at. Before the sensors could complete their scan, the communication system activated. A signal was coming from Earth, but not the surrender message the Admiral expected. A human face appeared on the screen. It was a woman with dark hair and serious eyes. She wore some kind of military uniform that the Zephyrians had never seen before. This is Dr. Sarah Chen, speaking for the unified government of Earth, the woman said. Her voice was calm and steady. We have received your surrender demand. Here is our response. You have exactly 30 seconds to reverse course and leave our solar system. If you do not comply, we will demonstrate why humanity has survived ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, and each other. The bridge fell silent. In 3,000 years of conquest, no primitive species had ever responded with a threat. Admiral Vextar started to laugh. Did this primitive creature just threaten the Imperial Navy? Apparently so, Admiral, Krellnox replied, but he sounded nervous. Send another message, Vextar ordered. Tell them we have 200 ships capable of destroying planets. Ask them how many ships they have. But before the message could be sent, the sensor officer shouted a warning. Admiral. Massive energy surge from the planet's surface. Thousands of objects launching simultaneously. The main screen showed Earth erupting with activity. From every continent and ocean, bright streaks of light shot upward toward the alien fleet. The objects were moving incredibly fast, much faster than any chemical rocket should be able to travel. "What are those?" Vextar demanded. "I don't know, sir. They're accelerating far beyond what our intelligence predicted. Some of them are reaching 10% of light speed." The Admiral stared at the screen in disbelief. Nothing should be able to move that fast except Zephyrian military vessels. These humans were supposed to be primitive. "Time to impact?" he asked. 17 seconds for the first wave. "Raise shields. All ships, maximum defensive power." The order went out across the fleet, but Vextar felt a cold fear growing in his stomach. Something was very wrong. "The humans were not supposed to have weapons like this, sir," the sensor officer called out. "I'm detecting the composition of the incoming objects. They're solid matter. Metal rods, some kind of dense material moving at relativistic speeds." "Solid matter?" Krelnox looked confused. "That's impossible. No civilized species uses kinetic weapons at these velocities." The first impacts began 8 seconds later. The Zephyrian shields had been designed to deflect energy weapons, plasma beams, particle cannons, fusion torpedoes. They worked by creating electromagnetic fields that could redirect charged particles and energy waves. They did absolutely nothing against chunks of tungsten moving at 30,000 miles per second. The first dreadnought to be hit simply disappeared. One moment it was there, a 3-mile-long fortress of metal and weapons. The next moment it was an expanding cloud of superheated gas and debris. The kinetic energy release was so enormous that nearby ships were damaged by the shock wave. "Shields have no effect," screamed the tactical officer. "The projectiles are passing right through them." More impacts followed in rapid succession. Each tungsten rod hit with the force of a nuclear weapon, but concentrated into a point smaller than a coin. Zephyrian armor designed to resist energy blasts crumpled like paper. "Return fire," Vextar shouted. "Target their launch sites." The fleet's weapons opened up, sending plasma beams and energy torpedoes toward Earth. But as the beams reached the planet's surface, they encountered something the Zephyrians had never seen before. The launch sites were already empty. The humans had fired their weapons and immediately moved them. "Admiral," the communications officer reported. "We're receiving another message from the planet." Dr. Sarah Chen appeared on the screen again. Behind her, displays showed the destruction of the Zephyrian ships in real time. "You have 15 seconds remaining," she said calmly. "I should mention that what you just experienced was only our first response kinetic defense system. We also have nuclear weapons, antimatter warheads, relativistic kill vehicles, and some other surprises we've been saving for a special occasion like this." The Admiral watched in horror as more of his ships disappeared under the kinetic bombardment. 40 ships destroyed in the first minute. These were not primitive weapons. They were the most advanced kinetic systems he had ever seen. "How is this possible?" Krelnox whispered. On the screen, Dr. Chen smiled, but it was a cold, dangerous expression. "You made the same mistake that 47 other species made. You assumed that because we don't have energy shields and plasma cannons, we must be helpless. You never considered that we might have developed something better." Another wave of projectiles struck the fleet. This time they were larger, asteroids that had been accelerated by some kind of massive launcher. The impacts were so violent that they created new stars of light in the darkness of space. "Admiral," the sensor officer reported, his voice shaking. "I'm detecting 12 objects approaching from the outer system. They're small, but they're moving at 90% of light speed." Vextar felt his heart stop. 90% of light speed was impossible for anything except pure energy, but the sensors clearly showed solid objects racing toward his fleet at relativistic velocities. "Time to impact?" 4 minutes, sir." The Admiral looked around his bridge. Half his fleet was already destroyed, and now something even worse was coming. For the first time in his military career, he felt real terror. "Send a message to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them we surrender. Tell them we will leave immediately." "Sir, they're not responding to communication requests." Dr. Chen's face appeared on the screen one final time. "Your 30 seconds are up," she said simply. "You came here to conquer Earth. Instead, you're about to learn why nobody conquers humanity." The screen went dark. Admiral Vextar realized that he had made the worst mistake in Zephyrian military history. These humans were not primitive. They were the most dangerous species he had ever encountered. and now it was too late to escape. The destruction of Admiral Vextar's fleet became a lesson in human military doctrine that would be studied across the galaxy for centuries. What the Zephyrians experienced in the next 14 minutes challenged every assumption about warfare that civilized species had developed over millions of years. The 12 relativistic kill vehicles arrived first, moving at speeds that made them impossible to track accurately. Each RKV was no larger than a small car, but when matter traveling at 90% of light speed hits anything, the results are beyond devastating. The physics are simple and terrifying. Mass times velocity squared equals energy, and when velocity approaches the speed of light, the energy release becomes almost unlimited. The first RKV hit the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Glory directly amidships. The 3-mile-long dreadnought didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist. The matter-antimatter conversion was so complete that nearby space lit up like a miniature sun. The shockwave from the impact destroyed 6 more ships that had been traveling in formation. "Impossible!" Admiral Vextar screamed from the bridge of his command ship, watching his flagship disappear from the tactical display. "Nothing can move that fast except pure energy." But the humans had solved the engineering problems that other species thought were impossible. While aliens developed energy weapons because they seemed more advanced, humans had perfected the art of making solid objects move at nearly light speed. The result was weapons that no shield in the galaxy could stop. Commander Krelnox was studying his sensor readings with growing panic. "Admiral, the humans are not fighting like any species we've encountered before. Look at this tactical analysis." The main screen showed a 3-dimensional map of the battle. Every time the Zephyrian fleet targeted a human weapons installation, the installation was already gone. The humans weren't trying to protect their weapons. They were treating them as expendable tools. "They fire once and then abandon the launcher," Krelnox explained. "By the time our counterstrike reaches the target location, nothing is there. It's like they plan to lose every weapon system they use." This was exactly what humanity had planned. Dr. Sarah Chen had studied every alien military doctrine that Earth's intelligence services could obtain. All advanced species fought the same way. They built expensive, powerful weapons and then tried to protect them. Humans had chosen a completely different approach. Build cheap, simple weapons and use so many of them that the enemy couldn't target them all. The second wave of human attacks came from the oceans. Nuclear submarines that had been hidden beneath. The polar ice caps suddenly surfaced and launched volleys of intercontinental ballistic missiles. But these were not the primitive nuclear weapons that Zephyrian intelligence had reported. These missiles carried warheads that used antimatter as a trigger mechanism, creating fusion explosions far more powerful than anything in the alien arsenal. The missiles followed impossible flight paths, using Earth's gravity and magnetic field to change direction in ways that violated everything the Zephyrians knew about ballistics. Some missiles actually flew past the alien fleet, then curved back, around to strike from behind using gravitational slingshot maneuvers. "How are they guiding those projectiles?" demanded the tactical officer aboard the cruiser Dark Nebula. "Unknown, sir. The missiles appear to be using some kind of distributed intelligence network. Each one is calculating its own optimal attack vector based on real-time battlefield data." What the aliens didn't understand was that humanity had developed artificial intelligence specifically for warfare. Each missile carried a computer system more advanced than the navigation computers on Zephyrian capital ships. The missiles were constantly communicating with each other, sharing targeting data and coordinating their attacks to maximize damage. The third wave came from the moon itself. The Zephyrians had detected what appeared to be a small mining colony on Earth's satellite, but they had completely missed the massive electromagnetic launcher hidden beneath the surface. The lunar mass driver was humanity's most ambitious weapon, a railgun system that could accelerate asteroids to incredible velocities using the moon's entire electrical grid as a power source. The first asteroid launched from the moon was only about 50 feet across, but it had been accelerated to 8% of light speed. When it struck the Zephyrian battlecruiser Void Hunter, the explosion was visible from Earth with the naked eye. The ship didn't just break apart, it vaporized along with everything within a 100-mile radius. "Admiral," reported Captain Zekmar from the destroyer fleet, "we need to retreat immediately. We're losing ships faster than we can count them." But Admiral Vextar was discovering another aspect of human military thinking. The humans had positioned their weapons to make retreat impossible. More kinetic projectiles were coming from every direction, including from behind the Zephyrian fleet. The humans had somehow placed weapons throughout the solar system without being detected. "Sir, we're receiving a tactical analysis from the computer," said Commander Krelnox. "The humans appear to have been planning this battle for decades. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of space debris in this system has been weaponized." This was true. For 30 years, human engineers had been placing small rocket motors on asteroids and comets throughout the solar system. When the alien fleet arrived, these hidden weapons activated, turning harmless space rocks into guided missiles. The Zephyrians found themselves under attack from directions they hadn't known existed. The most terrifying realization came when the aliens tried to target Earth's population centers in desperation. Their plasma beams struck the planet's major cities, but the energy was absorbed by defensive systems that shouldn't have existed. Humans had built underground shield generators powered by geothermal energy, creating protective barriers that could deflect even the Empire's most powerful weapons. "How is this possible?" Vexitar demanded. "Our scouts reported no energy shields on this planet." "The shields are underground, Admiral," his science officer reported. "The humans built them beneath their cities using natural heat from the planet's core. Our sensors couldn't detect them because they're powered by geological processes instead of technology we recognize. But the shields were not just defensive. As the Zephyrian energy beams struck the protective barriers, the humans demonstrated the final aspect of their military philosophy. Every defense was also a weapon. The shield generators absorbed the alien energy attacks and redirected them back into space as focused particle beams that could slice through starship hulls like knives through paper. The battle became a nightmare of physics and engineering that the Zephyrians couldn't understand. Human weapons didn't follow the rules that governed civilized warfare. Instead of building a few powerful ships with strong defenses, humans had built thousands of simple weapons that could be used once and thrown away. "Admiral," the communications officer reported, "we're receiving the final transmission from Earth." Dr. Sarah Chen appeared on the screen one last time. Behind her, displays showed the systematic destruction of the alien fleet in real time. "This is humanity's final message to the Zephyrian Empire," she said calmly. "You have conquered 47 worlds by threatening species that had never learned to fight effectively. You made the mistake of attacking a species that has spent its entire existence learning how to kill things more efficiently." The screen showed footage of human history, wars, battles, and conflicts spanning thousands of years. But instead of showing humanity's violence, it demonstrated their innovation. Every human conflict had produced new weapons, new tactics, and new ways of solving the fundamental problem of warfare: how to destroy your enemy before they destroy you. "We did not seek this fight," Dr. Chen continued, "but since you brought it to us, we will finish it completely. Your empire will receive this transmission along with detailed sensor records of your fleet's destruction. Consider it a warning." Admiral Vextar made his final transmission to the Zephyrian Empire just seconds before his command ship was destroyed by a kinetic projectile traveling at relativistic speed. "Emergency message to Imperial Command," he broadcast. "Do not attack the Sol system. Do not attack the species called humans. They are not primitive. They are the most efficient killers in the galaxy. They don't fight to win territory or capture resources. They fight to completely eliminate threats. Our entire fleet is destroyed. I repeat, our entire fleet is destroyed." The transmission ended when Vextar's ship was hit by the final relativistic kill vehicle. 14 minutes and 37 seconds after the first shot was fired, silence fell across the Sol system. Not a single Zephyrian vessel survived to carry word of the battle back to their empire, but the automated emergency beacons on each ship had transmitted everything to the nearest Imperial listening post. The Zephyrian Empire, along with 46 other alien civilizations, received complete sensor data showing exactly how humanity fought a war. The message was clear. Earth was protected by beings who had turned warfare into a science. 3 months after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy had changed forever. The debris from 200 Zephyrian dreadnoughts formed new asteroid belts around Earth, creating a permanent monument to what happened when someone tried to conquer humanity. But the real change was not in space. It was in the minds of every alien species that had received the battle recordings. Emperor Thakvor of the Zephyrian Empire sat in his throne room, watching the sensor data for the 100th time. The recordings showed his most powerful fleet being destroyed in less than 15 minutes by weapons that no civilized species should have been able to build. "How many ships did we lose again?" he asked his military advisor. "All of them, Your Majesty. 200 dreadnoughts, 50 escort vessels, 30 support craft. Not a single survivor. The entire Third Conquest fleet was completely destroyed." The Emperor leaned back in his crystal throne, trying to understand what he had witnessed. For 3,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire had conquered worlds using the same simple strategy. Show overwhelming force, demand surrender, occupy the planet. It had worked 47 times without fail. "What kind of species builds weapons like this?" Thakvor asked. "According to our xenobiologists, the humans appear to be a young species that evolved from predatory pack hunters. Their entire civilization has been shaped by constant warfare with each other. Every technical advancement they have made has been applied to military purposes." The Emperor watched the recording again as Earth erupted with kinetic weapons, turning space around the planet into a storm of relativistic projectiles. The human weapons didn't look advanced. They were just pieces of metal moving very fast. But the engineering required to accelerate solid matter to near-light speed was beyond anything the Empire had achieved. "Could we build weapons like these?" he asked. "Our scientists say it would be theoretically possible, but it would require completely redesigning our military doctrine. We would need to abandon energy shields, plasma weapons, and everything we consider civilized warfare. We would have to start thinking like primitives." That was exactly the problem. Every advanced species in the galaxy had developed similar military technology because they all thought the same way. Energy weapons seemed more sophisticated than throwing rocks. Force fields seemed more elegant than hiding underground. Massive starships seemed more impressive than small. Disposable missiles. Humans had ignored what seemed sophisticated and focused on what actually worked. The door to the throne room opened, and General Veltok entered with an urgent report. "Your Majesty, we have received responses from our diplomatic contacts throughout the galaxy. Every major empire has now reviewed the Sol System battle recordings. What are their reactions?" "Universal, Your Majesty. No one wants to fight the humans. The Andromedans have officially declared the Sol System off-limits to all military vessels. The Centauri Federation has banned any research into human military technology, calling it too dangerous for civilized beings. Even the warlike Draconis clans have issued a statement saying that humans should be left alone. This was unprecedented in galactic history. Never before had so many different species agreed on anything, especially when it came to military matters. But the humans had accomplished something that no diplomatic treaty could achieve. They had created universal fear. "What about trade relations?" the Emperor asked. "Several species have attempted to establish peaceful contact with Earth, but the humans' response has been concerning." General Veltok activated a holographic display showing Dr. Sarah Chen addressing the galaxy through captured Zephyrian communication networks. The human scientist looked as calm and professional as she had during the battle, but her words carried a message that chilled every alien leader who heard them. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen, speaking for the unified government of Earth," she said. "We are aware that multiple species have witnessed the destruction of the Zephyrian invasion fleet. We want to make our position clear to all civilizations in the galaxy." The recording continued with what became known as the Sol Doctrine, humanity's official policy toward alien contact. "Earth seeks no territory beyond our solar system. We claim no authority over other worlds or species. We do not wish to build an empire or conquer other civilizations. However, we will consider any uninvited military presence in our star system to be an act of war, and we will respond with complete destruction of the attacking force." Dr. Chen paused, allowing her words to sink in across the galaxy. "We are willing to establish peaceful trade and diplomatic relations with any species that approaches us properly. Send a single unarmed vessel to the edge of our solar system. Broadcast your intentions clearly and wait for permission to proceed. Any deviation from this protocol will result in the immediate destruction of your ship." The message included detailed technical specifications of human weapon systems, showing exactly how the relativistic kill vehicles worked, how the kinetic defense platforms operated, and how the lunar mass driver could throw asteroids across interstellar distances. We are sharing this technical data not as a threat, but as a warning, Dr. Chen explained. Any species that attempts to duplicate our weapons for aggressive purposes will find themselves at war with Earth. We have spent centuries perfecting the science of warfare, and we are very good at it. Emperor Thakvor turned off the recording and sat in silence for several minutes. His empire had been built on the assumption that primitive species were helpless against advanced military technology. The humans had proven that assumption catastrophically wrong. Your Majesty, General Veltak said carefully, our Strategic Planning Committee has submitted a recommendation regarding Earth. What do they suggest? Complete avoidance, Your Majesty. We should remove Sol from all star charts, forbid any Imperial vessels from approaching their system, and classify humans as a Class Alpha extinction threat. The Emperor nodded slowly. It was a wise decision, but it marked the end of Zephyrian expansion in that direction of the galaxy. For the first time in 3,000 years, there was a species that the Empire was afraid to fight. Similar conversations were taking place on every major world in the galaxy. The Andromedans, who had conquered 18 star systems using their advanced energy weapons, quietly canceled their expansion plans after reviewing the human battle tactics. The Centauri Federation, known for their powerful defensive shields, realized that their defenses would be useless against kinetic weapons traveling at relativistic speeds. Most disturbing of all was the reaction of the galaxy's military scientists. Every species that studied the human weapons came to the same conclusion. These weren't the most advanced weapons possible. They were just the most efficient. Humans had solved the fundamental problems of warfare, using basic physics and engineering, principles that any species could understand. The terrifying implication was that if humans could build weapons like this while still confined to a single star system, what might they be capable of if they ever decided to expand beyond Earth? 6 months after the battle, the first peaceful contact was made. A single Valdorian science vessel approached the edge of the Sol system, broadcasting continuously in mathematical concepts that showed their peaceful intentions. The ship waited for 3 days before receiving permission to enter human space. The meeting took place aboard a human space station that had been hastily constructed for diplomatic purposes. The Valdorian ambassador, a crystalline being named Skalvan, was surprised to find that the human representatives seemed completely normal and reasonable. We apologize for the aggressive response to the Zephyrian fleet, Dr. Chen explained during the first meeting. But they did not come here seeking peaceful contact. They came to conquer our world and enslave our people. We understand, Skalvan replied through his translation device. But the galaxy is curious about your military capabilities. Are humans naturally violent? Dr. Chen considered the question carefully. We are a species that learned to survive in a dangerous universe by becoming very good at eliminating threats. We prefer peace, but we are prepared for war in ways that other species apparently are not. The weapons you used against the Zephyrians, are they your most powerful systems? Dr. Chen smiled, but it was not a reassuring expression. Ambassador, what you saw was our immediate response capability. Those weapons are designed to handle surprise attacks. If we had known the Zephyrians were coming months in advance, we would have built much more effective systems. Skalvan felt a chill run through his crystalline structure. The humans had destroyed the galaxy's most powerful fleet, using weapons they considered basic defensive measures. What would you have built? He asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. Well, Dr. Chen replied thoughtfully, we've been working on some interesting applications of controlled black hole generation, quantum entanglement for instantaneous weapons delivery, and something we call stellar engineering, using stars themselves as energy sources for really large-scale weapons. The Valdorian ambassador made a note to himself that his species would never, under any circumstances, give humans a reason to demonstrate their advanced military technology. The meeting established the basic framework for human-alien relations that would govern the galaxy for centuries to come.